going on, Lions fans? Welcome back to the Detroit Den. Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to get you guys finished up on that work day. If you're sitting in traffic, if you're stuck at the office for a little bit, hopefully I could provide you with some entertainment to bring this Tuesday to a close for you guys. I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite rookies that was drafted that I don't feel like is getting enough respect or enough recognition. I think he's going to play a huge role. Sione Vaki. And if you don't believe me when I say he was one of my favorite draft picks, you can go watch one of our mock draft episodes. I believe I had him in 2 out of 3. I know I had him in my final mock draft somewhere in round 4 with a trade back scenario because I know we didn't have a 4th round pick. So him or Mekhi Wingo, toss a coin, flip it, whatever it lands on. You know, today it might be Sione Vaki. Tomorrow it might be Mekhi Wingo. That's how much I love both of these players. It's easy to love a Terrion Arnold. I love all of the draft picks, but these two I feel like are going to be huge X factors for the Detroit Lions. But mainly today I'm going to be focusing on Sione Vaki. I know when we traded up to get him in the draft, a lot of people thought that we might have gave up too much, but Brad Holmes has a rule. He identifies a target. He identifies a prospect. He goes out and gets them, whatever it may be. I can't remember the scenario where we were sitting in. If we had a 5th or 6th round pick at the time, I can't remember, but Brad Holmes made a move, went up, got Sione Vaki, and some people were saying that maybe we gave up a little too much for a guy that doesn't have a true position. Well, that's what Brad Holmes does. He drafts positionless football players. He drafts guys that can play multiple positions. When I look at this Detroit Lions roster, I don't think there's a player out there who's capable of playing more positions than Sione Vaki. We talk about depth. We talk about our roster being complete. We talk about being a strong whole 53-man roster. Well, Sione Vaki can play multiple positions. I'm not talking 1. I'm not talking 2. I'm talking at least 3 potential positions we could see him at. I'll say that I see him as a running back first. But if we get into a situation where some of our secondary guys get a little banged up, it's the NFL. It happens. You know, people miss some games. It's going to happen. If we have to shuffle some pieces around, if we have to switch up who's playing nickel back or who's playing safety, Sione Vaki is a guy you could throw back there at safety. Problem solved. Don't even worry about it. Hey, move about the day. Let's get this win, whatever week we're in. Doesn't matter. In high school, he also played some wide receiver, so he's got the athleticism. He can catch a football. He can run. He just provides depth at every single position that we don't even have to worry about. I will say that we know for sure our top 2 running backs are locked. Montgomery, Gibbs, whoever's going to be 1, whoever's going to be 2, it doesn't matter on the depth chart. We all know how they get used. I'd like to see Gibbs get used more in the passing game, but that kind of stuff's not up to me. I think he's a weapon. He can run between the tackles. So is David Montgomery. I don't care who gets listed on a depth chart. I don't get caught up in all that stuff because I know that Gibbs and Monty are going to chew up most of the carries, most of the touches. But we have seen that quote unquote running back 3 position get some huge carries. Pretty sure Craig Reynolds, I'm sorry, I almost said Josh Reynolds. Craig Reynolds had a touchdown in the Rams game on a 4th and 1, if I'm not mistaken. So Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell built this roster, and Dan Campbell will use whatever player he feels is necessary for his ballsy 4th down calls. Jalen Reeves-Maybin on a fake punt, Craig Reynolds in a playoff game on 4th and 1 from the goal line. We just never know. So I don't get caught up in the depth chart stuff. So I will talk about it a little bit today. I will be mentioning depth chart and that kind of stuff, but I personally don't get wrapped up in that kind of stuff. Training camp starts in a couple weeks. I'm looking for Sione Vaki to compete mainly. I think his head-to-head battle is going to be with mostly Craig Reynolds with a little bit of Zonovan Knight in there. Is it possible that the Detroit Lions carry 3, possibly 4 running backs? I think we'll for sure carry 3. On the active roster, and they've done it before. I don't know about 4. It's possible. I guess it really would just depend on a week-to-week basis on if maybe Monty has a lingering hamstring injury or something. They might say, hey, let's bring up another running back just in case. I think it's really just going to depend on stuff like that, but I think we're for sure going to be bringing in 3. So I think Vaki is going to be competing mostly with Craig Reynolds, but you could mention Zonovan Knight, who's in there as well. But I personally think I don't count out Craig Reynolds. That guy's a dog, and he's proved me wrong several times. Like, I'll just elaborate a little bit more on that 4th and 1 from the goal line. I remember saying, what are we doing? A QB sneak here, a jump ball? Like, we're not going to run the ball with Craig Reynolds in this position in this kind of game, are we? Boom, hands off to Craig Reynolds, touchdown. Shut me up. Hey, I was wrong. Got to eat that one. But I don't care because it led to a Detroit Lions win. So that's what I think is going to happen with the running back room once training camp unfolds and we really start getting into it. We'll see. But even if Sione Vaki doesn't win that quote unquote, again, running back 3 position, this dude's a special teams nightmare. Absolute weapon. Is he going to be a gunner? Is he going to be a returner? We don't know. He could do a lot of different things. Putting him with Jalen Reeves-Maybin, Khalif Raymond, Khalil Dorsey potentially, Donovan Peoples-Jones potentially. Like, we have a lot of guys we could throw back there on kick return. Sione Vaki can throw his name in the mix. He's got those ball skills. He's got the athleticism. Now, I'm not saying he's got that Chris Johnson 2K speed, but he's got enough speed to get you in good field position on a punt return or a kick return, which, speaking of kick return, new rule this year, we don't know we know what the rule is with the whole where you can line up, where you're kicking from, all that. I'm not going to go into great details. We have done an episode on that. There's a potential where we could see 11 guys on the field on kickoff return who are comfortable handling the ball. Like, we could see some corners out there, some wide receivers, running backs. I don't know. I'm interested to see this new kickoff rule, and I think that's another position where Sione Vaki could really thrive. So we're talking about a guy who could be on punt return, kick return, in all kinds of ways on punt return. If he's actual returner, if he's a gunner trying to make a block on a kick, don't know. The possibilities are absolutely endless is my point. And I think one of the most interesting ways I'm going to be watching training camp is there's so many. I have so many different people I'm trying to watch. I wish I could record some of the stuff that goes on in training camp, but if you've ever been there, they're absolutely prison guards when it comes to cell phones being out. So it's an absolute no-no. But the practices I do go to, man, I have so many people to watch. It's going to be hard to take notes on it. So it's really going to be a difficult task because I love our roster. I love how complete it is for the first time in a long time. Again, Sione Vaki, rookie, one of my favorite picks. He's an X factor at so many different positions that once the season starts and we start getting into some of our game day episodes that I absolutely love doing, probably my favorite episodes are getting ready for game day and game day recaps, where we're talking about Lions wins more than likely. Those are my favorite episodes to talk about. And I really think that Sione Vaki is going to be a huge factor in a couple games this year. Whether or not that's because of injury or just because he fought his way onto whatever role he deserves and whatever role he wins, I'm excited to see it. One last thing, while I was doing some research and looking up some stuff on Sione, running back coach Scotty Montgomery had some interesting in a good way. I don't want to lead you guys and pretend that he said anything bad, but he was just kind of saying on the record that in regards to Sione Vaki as a running back, he's quote unquote right where I would expect a rookie to be, and goes along to say that Vaki has some technique to work on. That's kind of expected from a rookie. Like, he's got to learn the game. The NFL compared to the college is obviously night and day difference. Everyone's big, everyone's fast, everyone's athletic. Whereas in college, like, you got some guys on scholarship, that's great, but maybe that jump from high school to college was too big. And the same thing happens in the pros. Sometimes the jump from college to the pros is just too big. Like, it happens all the time. So Scotty Montgomery just kind of laying it out there. Like, he didn't say anything bad. He didn't say anything overly positive. He was just kind of like, yeah, he's a rookie. This is where I expect him to be. Like, he's got some technique to work on. What that technique is, I don't know. If it's run blocking, route running, how he cuts to the hole, how he reads linemen, I don't know. It could be a lot of different things. He was pretty vague on that, but nothing to be worried about, nothing to be concerned. I'm excited to watch this kid play some football. It's coming. We're about 2 weeks away, guys. Leave a comment down below. Hit that like button. I'll be back later with another show.